the KEMSA case? Because we know the PS was sent packing, but, we haven't heard much on the investigations front and, what could happen later with prosecutions. What's happening? Granted, money was not lost because this was nipped in the bud just as, the procurement process was beginning.
Yeah.
But what can you tell us about
our teams are actually working on now getting the actual evidence, what actually happened, and then those people who will be found to have been culpable, even though money was not lost. The intention to commit an offense is still an offense in this country. So those people will still be dealt with.
You talked about, just a short while ago, that, the laws exist in place and institutions exist. They do. Officers are supposed to be independent, such as, the EACC, the DPP, and yet we have seen admissions of political involvement and influence in those spaces. What is the problem, Bishop, with the fight against corruption? It is not for lack of laws. The office of the DPP is guaranteed independence and security of tenure under the Constitution. The EACC is an independent, or supposed to be anyway, even under the law. The DCI as well. And then in all of these institutions, we've either seen claims of political infiltration, yet the laws are in place. So is it the people, the right people that we don't have? And why would you be the person that Kenyans now trust to lead us in a direction that gives us confidence in the war against graft in the country?
We have just finished 1 week of laying out a strategy as EACC. And we are just asking ourselves exactly what you are saying and more. How do we turn around this thing? First of all, we must move from the point of just drama, where we want to see big things happen quickly and so on. This is going to require a long-term strategy. One of the areas is we as Kenyans, and I've said this before and we were in agreement on the same, that we first of all need to recognize that corruption is actually a cancer that is eventually going to kill us. We have got to the place where, as a country, we can say we are broke. That is not something to be proud of. If you, as a family, you are broke to the extent you have no food to eat, it's not something you want to tell your neighbors. And yet we are admitting that that is where we are. None other than the deputy president has come out severally to say we have no money. But we don't correlate that with the billions that we are losing in corruption or through corruption. If this money was conserved, it would go a long way in paying for some of our projects, for our public service and all the people that serve in government, meeting school fees for our children, and all those things that we cry about. And yet there are few people who take this money and make it their own. So if we changed our mind about corruption and wealth, because there's a sense in which we as Kenyans celebrate the wealthy, or let me call them the rich, because they are not wealthy, the rich, without asking serious questions.
But Bishop, they celebrate the rich because they get away with it. The rich who get their wealth through unorthodox means.
How do they get away with it?
Well, can the EACC tell us how they get away with it?
They get away with it because even today I am accused of stealing 1 billion, 2 billion, whatever it is. I go to campaign trail, you vote me in. I don't go to parliament by myself. Why is it that Kenyans, we still celebrate those people?
Shouldn't the EACC and the justice system be locking them up?
We do.
So that they don't even have to be on the ballot to begin with.
I believe you are here before the last elections. And the EACC put out a list of people they felt should not stand for elections. How many of them were actually cleared? And it is not because IEBC close their eyes, but because the law actually says you can't stop them.
So
now we as Kenyans can stop them at the ballot. We can say this guy has actually been listed by EACC, why should we vote him in?
Yeah, but Bishop, we have been there.
Yes.
You have put out lists, and IBC has put up the list.
Yes.
So what do we do now? Because it sounds like EACC is helpless. When we say helpless, the voters are the ones who put them in. So what will be different under your leadership that then signals a change in direction in the country?
I think that's where I was going.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, because we are saying that, first of all, let's help Kenyans to appreciate that corruption is bad. That is public awareness, public education, which we want to really enhance across the country so that people are aware. Secondly, we would want to, every sector of our government and society, we want to, people who can point out ills that are happening around them. One of the things that Kenyans, unfortunately, we have is that you can see something happening right below your nose, and you say, it is not my problem, you know, or I can't do anything about it. We want to help Kenyans to say, if you see something that is not right, please let us know, so that it can be nipped in the bud, like the KEMSA story we talked about. So that public participation in the fight against corruption is going to be very useful, because many times EACC is coming after the event. You know, the money is already stolen. The thing is already done. So really, that is not a very positive way of dealing with things. So if we were to know, like currently we are pursuing certain cases where people have given us information, something suspicious is happening here, and we have gone in and looked at that, those situations, and we actually have cases that we are preparing even to hand over to the DPP. And it is so good because it has happened early, just like a sickness that has been discovered early. Then, of course, the law enforcement is the third area that we want to strengthen our investigative arm so that proper investigation is done, good analysis of evidence is done. By the time a case is forwarded to DPP and hopefully onwards to the courts, they are watertight cases. That will really help us in nailing down